I died choking on my own blood, the taste of betrayal as metallic as the knife my brother Jamie twisted into my gut. Not a literal knife. Oh no, that would have been too merciful, but the sharp, deliberate slice of his words during that final family meeting at the lake house, where he announced I'd been voted out of my own legacy, the one I'd bled for over a decade. As the morphine haze pulled me under in that sterile hospital bed 3 years later, heart failing from the stress-induced aneurysm they blamed on my fragile nerves, I realized the truth. My family hadn't just cut me off, they'd erased me, and in that last breath, I swore if there was a god or a glitch in the universe, I'd come back and make them pay every cent of the debt they owed. Waking up gasping in my old twin bed, the one with a faded floral comforter from high school, I thought it was the afterlife's cruel joke. The alarm clock blinked 7:14 a.m., July 15th, 2018, the exact morning of the summer barbecue where it all started unraveling. Sunlight slanted through the blinds of my childhood bedroom in that cramped split level in suburban Detroit, the air thick with the scent of fresh-cut grass and Mom's overbrewed coffee from downstairs. I bolted upright, my hands, younger, unscarred by the 4 bruises, clutching the sheets. 35 in a 28-year-old body.
重生
Reborn. The word echoed in my mind like a forbidden spell from those Korean dramas I'd binge-watched during chemo breaks. But this wasn't fantasy. The faded scar on my knee from that biking accident at 16 was still there, proof I was back. Back before the betrayal, before the cancer they swore was just bad luck, before Jamie and the others turned the lake house, the one I'd sunk my entire inheritance and soul into their private playground. I stumbled to the mirror, staring at Olivia Harper, version 2.0, wide hazel eyes, choppy brown bob that I'd later grow out in futile attempts to look professional for the board. My reflection smirked, a ghost of the fury I'd carried to the grave. "They think they can bury you again," I whispered to her. "Not this time." Downstairs, the clatter of plates confirmed it, Mom humming off-key to some old Motown tune on the radio, Dad buried in his morning crossword, and my sisters, Elena and Becca, scrolling TikTok at the kitchen island. Jamie wouldn't arrive until the barbecue, that smug venture capitalist with his Tesla and his disruptor bullshit. The lake house loomed in my memory like a siren, that sprawling A-frame on Lake Huron I'd bought sight unseen with Grandma's life insurance payout after she passed in 2012. I'd poured everything into it, $250,000 down, weekends of sweat equity turning it from a moldy relic into a modern retreat with solar panels, a gourmet kitchen, and that infinity deck overlooking the water. It was supposed to be our family's anchor, the place where we'd heal after Dad's mill layoff and Mom's depression spirals. Instead, it became the battlefield. That barbecue was the hook they swallowed first. We'd all gathered under the guise of celebrating the remodel, me fresh off a promotion at the ad agency, buzzing with naive pride. Beers flowed, brats sizzled on the grill, and the kids, my nieces and nephews, chased fireflies as dusk fell. Then Jamie pulled me aside by the boathouse, his Rolex glinting in the twilight. "Liv, we need to talk family business." His voice was all boardroom silk, but his eyes? Cold as the lake in January. He laid it out like a pitch deck. The family trust he'd optimized behind my back, rerouting maintenance fees to a startup fund, claiming my instability made me unfit to manage the property. Instability? That was code for my failed engagement to Mark 2 years prior, the one where he'd cheated with my coworker and left me picking up the therapy bills. But Jamie twisted it, painted me as the black sheep, the one who'd squandered Grandma's money on frivolous upgrades, while he and Elena covered the real costs. Lies, all of it. I had the receipts, the spreadsheets I'd obsessively tracked. By midnight, with everyone tipsy and nodding along, they voted. Majority rules, out goes Olivia. No appeal, no equity payout. Just a cardboard box of my personal shit left on the porch the next morning. Now, reborn and raging, I descended the stairs like a storm cloud, forcing a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Morning, fam," I chirped, grabbing a mug like nothing had fractured my soul yet. Mom beamed, thrusting a plate of scrambled eggs my way. Sleep well, sweetie. Big day at the lake. Dad grunted approval over his puzzle, and Elena looked up from her phone, her perfectly highlighted waves bouncing. You driving up with us, Liv? Becca's got shotgun. Becca, the baby at 24, rolled her eyes. As if. I'm posting the whole weekend. Hashtag family goals. I nodded, swallowing bile. Family goals.
Right.
In my first life, I'd driven up alone that day, replaying their betrayal on loop, the isolation festering into the stress that killed me. This time, I'd steer the car right into the ditch if it meant swerving their narrative. The drive north was a 2-hour blur of I-75, golden fields giving way to pine thickets, Lake Huron's blue tees on the horizon. I white-knuckled the wheel of my beat-up Civic, future knowledge burning like acid reflux. I knew the script. Arrivals with coolers and kayaks, Elena's husband Todd firing up the grill, Jamie swooping in late with craft IPAs and insider jokes about Silicon Valley. What they didn't know, what I'd uncovered too late last time, was the secret rotting at the heart of it all. Grandma hadn't died of natural causes. She'd been dosed with her heart meds by Mom, in a haze of resentment over Dad's affair years back. Jamie had covered it up, forging the death certificate through a shady lawyer contact, all to secure the inheritance without scandal. I'd found the emails after my diagnosis, piecing it together from a locked drawer in the attic during one desperate family visit. But by then, they were circling like vultures, whispering about conservatorship. The lake house? Collateral in their web of lies. Pulling into the gravel drive, the A-frame loomed, my masterpiece, cedar siding glowing in the sun, wildflowers I'd planted framing the path. Unloading, I played the part. Hugs, laughter. Can't wait for Esmores. But inside, calculations spun. I'd start small, plant seeds of doubt. At lunch, as we picnicked on the deck, I casually brought up the trust. Hey, Jamie, when you get here, let's review those fees. I think there's a glitch in the accounting app. Elena paused mid-bite of her kale salad. What fees? It's all good, right? I shrugged. All innocence. Just double-checking. Last thing we want is IRS drama. Mom's fork clattered. Dad shifted uncomfortably. The hook was set. Jamie arrived at 4, tires crunching like bones, stepping out in chinos and a polo that screamed, I summer in the Hamptons. Hugs all around, then he clapped me on the back. Too hard, proprietary. Liv, the queen of the castle. How's the agency treating you? I met his gaze, seeing the predator beneath. Killing it. Speaking of, let's chat finances later. His smile faltered, just a flicker.
Sure, sis.
After the game. The afternoon blurred into volleyball on the beach, splashes and shouts masking the undercurrent. But as sunset painted the lake bloody, we gathered for the family meeting I'd orchestrated by feigning concern over a fake email from the bank. Around the fire pit, sparks flying like accusations, I laid out the discrepancies, not all at once, but enough to make Jamie sweat.
See?
The solar rebate went missing. That's $5,000. He laughed it off, but Elena's brow furrowed. Becca snapped pics, oblivious. Mom clutched her wine. Dad? Silent as always. By nightfall, cracks showed. Jamie cornered me in the kitchen while I helped with dishes. What the hell, Liv? Stirring shit. His breath was beery, eyes narrow. I dried a plate slowly, voice steady. Just protecting what's mine. Or have you forgotten who fronted the down payment? He leaned in, venom low. That was family money. And family's flexible. Drop it, or you'll regret it. Regret. The word ignited me. In my mind's eye, I saw the hospital monitors flatlining, his crocodile tears at my funeral. Try me, I whispered. He stormed out, but not before I slipped a USB into his laptop bag. Dummy files laced with trackers.
Round 1 to me.
As the house quieted, I slipped onto the deck, lake whispering secrets. The stars wheeled overhead, indifferent witnesses. 3 years from now, in the timeline I'd escaped, they'd force me out, sell the house for a quick flip, pocket the profits while I withered away, penniless and alone.
But now?
I had time. knowledge, and a hunger sharper than any blade. The revenge wouldn't be swift. It'd be surgical, controversial, the kind that split families like fault lines. Starting with the bills. Thousands of them, itemized, public, undeniable. But first, I'd unearth the body, the secret they'd buried deeper than Grandma. Dawn broke over the lake like a guilty conscience, mist curling off the water as I brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint. The house stirred slowly, Becca's yawns echoing from the loft, Elena padding downstairs in yoga pants for her sunrise stretch. I moved like a shadow, laptop open on the counter, pulling records from the cloud backups I'd forgotten to delete last life. Bank statements, contractor invoices, even the emails from the realtor who'd warned me about family entanglements in the title. It was all there, a digital autopsy of their greed. By 8, Jamie emerged, hungover and hostile, grabbing orange juice like it owed him money. "Morning, sunshine," I said, sliding him a printout. "Sleep on those numbers?" He scanned it, jaw tightening. "This is bullshit, Liv. Ancient history." But his eyes darted, gilt's tell. Breakfast was a minefield. Dad shoveled oatmeal, Mom fluttered with fruit platters, but the air hummed with yesterday's static. I escalated gently, dropping bombs disguised as questions. "Remember when we redid the roof?" I covered that out of pocket, 18 grand. "Where'd that line item go in the trust?" Elena choked on her smoothie. "Wait, you paid for the roof?" I thought Jamie's firm handled it. Jamie's fork stabbed his eggs. "It was a group effort. Let's not nickel and dime the vibe." Becca, ever the instigator, perked up. "Ooh, drama?"
Spill.
I smiled sweetly. "Just clarity, Bex. Transparency's key in families, right?" Mom's face paled. She knew. About the roof, about Grandma, everything. We scattered after. Kayaks for the guys, a hike for the girls. I begged off, claiming emails, and holed up in the office nook overlooking the bay. That's when I dove deeper, cross-referencing with public records I'd memorized from my sickbed sleuthing. The lawyer, Victor Hale, Jamie's golf buddy, had a sealed probate file on Grandma's estate. A quick VPN hop to the county clerk site. Thank you, future tech savvy. Pulled the docket. Discrepancies in the dosage logs from her nursing home, a nurse's affidavit suppressed for settlement. Mom had visited that day, overwhelmed by caregiving, per the notes. Overwhelmed enough to double the pills? I'd bet my second chance on it. And Jamie? He'd greased the wheels with a donation to the home's foundation. Blackmail material, pure and poisonous. But exposing it now. Too raw, too soon. It'd shatter Mom, alienate Dad, maybe even tank Elena's marriage if Todd caught wind. Controversial as hell. That's what made it delicious. Afternoon brought the storm, literal and not. Thunder rumbled as we grilled inside, rain lashing the windows like accusations. Jamie tried damage control, cornering Dad by the fridge. "She's on a power trip, Pops. Always has been since Mark dumped her." I overheard, heart pounding, but held back. Let him dig his grave. Instead, I turned to Mom, washing greens at the sink. "You okay, Ma? Look like you've seen a ghost." She froze, suds dripping. "Just tired. Old bones." I touched her arm, channeling the daughter she'd lost. "The lake house, it's supposed to be our peace. Not a burden." Tears welled. She swiped them. "It is peace, Livy. For all of us." Liar. But the crack in her voice? Gold. Dinner devolved into a powder keg. Over steak and corn, I projected the spreadsheets on the TV, miracast from my phone, casual as streaming Netflix. Family audit time. Fun, right? Gasps rippled. There it was, my contributions, $312,000 total, against their sweat equity credits, mostly Jamie's inflated hours. Becca whistled. "Damn, Liv, you're like the silent partner who bankrolled the whole startup." Elena nodded slowly. "Why didn't we know this?" Jamie slammed his glass. "Because it's not about money. It's about unity." Liv's twisting it to play victim. Victim. The word snapped something. I stood, voice level but laced with steel. "Unity? Like when you rerouted the equity to your VC fund without a vote. That's not unity, Jamie. That's theft. The room exploded, shouts, tears, Dad's rare bellow. Enough. Mom fled to the deck, rain soaking her blouse. In the chaos, I slipped Jamie's phone from the charger, unlocked the fool, and forwarded his text to my cloud. There, threads with Victor about handling the Harper matter, code for burying Grandma's OD. And worse, a photo of the lake house appraisal, marked up for a flip sale, dated weeks after my eviction in the old timeline. They'd planned to cut me out from day one, using my breakdown as pretext. My hands shook as I pocketed the phone, rain drumming like applause. Becca found me later, huddled on the porch swing. What's really going on, Liv? This isn't you. I met her eyes, innocent, wide. Becca had been the only one at my bedside in the end, holding my hand as monitors wailed. It's me, Bex. Just seeing clear for once. She hugged me, whispering, don't let them break you again. Again. Did she sense it? Nah, projection.
But it fueled me.
Night deep in the rifts. Jamie slept in the guest cabin, to cool off. Elena and Todd argued in whispers about financial transparency. Dad nursed a scotch by the fire, staring into flames like they held answers. I couldn't sleep, pacing the master suite, my suite, damn it. The betrayal replayed. Post-barbecue. The locks changed, my key useless, Elena's text. Sorry, sis, majority rules. Love you. Followed by radio silence as the cancer bloomed. I'd sold my condo to cover treatments, couch surfed until pride snapped. Now, reborn, I'd flip the script. Step 1. The bills. Not petty invoices, but a public reckoning. I'd start with social media, Becca's realm, leaking redacted docs to crowdsource family advice. Controversial? Hell yes. It'd drag our dirty laundry into the open, painting Jamie as the villain, but at what cost to Mom's fragile heart? Midnight brought the twist I hadn't scripted. A knock, soft, hesitant. Mom, drenched from the rain, eyes haunted.
Livy.
I need to tell you something. We sat on the edge of the bed, her hands twisting like wrung dish rags. It poured out in fragments. The affair, Dad's with the mill secretary, her rage. The pills slipped into Grandma's tea to end her suffering from the dementia. She begged me once, in lucid moments. I couldn't watch anymore. And Jamie? He'd found out, covered it to protect us, but leveraged it for control. The trust, the house, all strings in his puppet show. He said it'd ruin us all if it came out.
But you.
You're digging, aren't you? I held her, bile rising. Pity warred with fury. This was the secret, the cancer of our clan. Expose it, and I avenged Grandma, but destroyed Mom. Bury it, and I betrayed my second chance. I won't let it bury us again. I murmured, meaning every word. She sobbed into my shoulder, the rain a dirge. As she shuffled back to Dad, I plotted. Mercy for her maybe, but Jamie? He'd choke on his own schemes. The bills were coming, thousands, public, laced with just enough truth to ignite the blaze. But first sleep. Tomorrow, the real storm. Sunday morning hit like a hangover for the soul, the lake flat and gray under overcast skies, mirroring the pallor on everyone's faces. Breakfast was silent communion, cereal poured like offerings to appease the gods of dysfunction. Jamie slunk in last, eyes bloodshot, avoiding mine as he mumbled about a conference call. Good. Let him stew. I sipped my coffee black, plotting the escalation. By noon, we'd agreed to a walk on the beach, neutral ground, Elena's idea for clearing the air. Sand sucked at our sneakers, waves lapping like hesitant confessions. That's when I dropped the hammer, casual as collecting shells. I hired an accountant last week. Full audit. Results by Tuesday. Jamie halted, surf crashing behind him. You what? Without telling us. I turned, wind whipping my hair. Telling you? Like you told me about the trust reroute.
Elena gasped.
Becca filmed discreetly, content gold. Dad cleared his throat. Olivia's got a point, son. The walk devolved into a summit, voices rising over the roar. Jamie paced, frothing. This is sabotage. You're jealous of my success. Always have been. Success built on corpses, Grandma's mine. I laughed, bitter. Jealous? Of a house of cards? The audit's coming, Jamie. And if it uncovers irregularities, well, that's on you. He lunged closer, finger jabbing. Irregularities? Like what? Your imaginary grudges. Mom whimpered, clutching Dad's arm. Elena stepped between us.
Stop.
We're family. Family. The word curdled. In my first death, it had been their rallying cry as they divvied my assets, toasting to live with the wine I'd stocked. Now it was my weapon. Back at the house, I locked myself in the office, firing off emails to the lawyer, not Victor, a new one from Ann Arbor, recommended in a future Yelp review. Full forensic accounting, probate review. I typed, attaching everything. Then the controversial pivot, social media. I crafted the post on Becca's old Insta account she'd loaned me for family pics, a screenshot of the equity ledger, captioned, Family Lake House Drama. I paid $300K to build our dream spot, but now they're saying it's majority rules to cut me out. AITA for billing them my share? Family feud, Lake House lies, advice needed. Hashtags for virality, vagueness for deniability. Hit post. Within minutes, likes trickled, then flooded. Comments. NTA sue their asses. Sounds like elder financial abuse. Check the trust. Becca peeked over my shoulder, eyes wide. Liv, this is blowing up. 300 shares already. I nodded, pulse racing. Public now. Their perfect image, Jamie's LinkedIn influencer vibe, Elena's mommy blog, cracking under the spotlight. Jamie burst in, phone in hand. Take it down.
Now.
His face was ashen, notifications pinging like gunfire. You've got no idea what you've unleashed. Oh, I did. By evening, local news bites. Michigan family feud over lakeside legacy goes viral. Reporters sniffing probate scandals. I played coy, granting a quick zoom to a Detroit Free Press stringer. Just seeking fairness. The house was my grandma's dream. Hers and mine. Off record, I whispered about the overdose questions. Seeds planted. Dinner was apocalypse. Jamie ranting about betrayal. Elena in tears over online trolls calling us thieves. Dad retreating to the den with a six-pack. She pulled me aside, voice breaking. Is this about her? Grandma? I nodded, tears real. It always was.
But you.
I forgive you, Ma. Him? Not yet. Night fell heavy, arguments echoing through the walls. I couldn't breathe the thick air, so I drove into town. Alpina, neon-lit diners and bait shops glowing against the dark. At a dive bar called the Rusty Anchor, I nursed a whiskey, scrolling the fallout. Thousands of engagements, GoFundMe suggestions for my legal battle, even a lawyer demanding pro bono offers. Empowering, terrifying. A grizzled local sidled up, nodding at my phone. Family stuff? Seen it tear folks apart up here. I spilled a sanitized version, Lake House, betrayal. He chuckled darkly.
Viewing. Publicly.
Hits where it hurts, reputation. Wisdom from the salt of the earth. Back home by midnight, the house dark save for Jamie's cabin light. I hesitated, then approached, knocking softly. We need to talk. He yanked the door, wild-eyed. You win, Liv. Take your cut, 50 grand. Wire tomorrow. Just kill the post. 50 grand. A pittance against my investment, but the hook. Not enough. The truth, Jamie. About Grandma. His face drained. What do you know? Everything. I laid it out, the pills, the cover-up, the leverage. He crumpled onto the cot, head in hands. It was Mercy. She was suffering.
Mom.
She snapped. I fixed it to save us. Fixed. Like editing a bad tweet. You profited. I hissed. The trust, the house, your empire on her grave. He looked up, broken. What do you want? Absolution?
No.
Justice. Confess. To the family, to the cops if it comes. And the house, back in my name, full equity. He nodded, defeated. Dawn would bring the reckoning. Monday's family meeting was raw theater. Around the kitchen island, coffee cold, Jamie read from his phone, a drafted apology, voice cracking. I manipulated the trust, hid things about Grandma to protect us, but it was wrong. Gasps, sobs. Mom wailed, Dad's face thunder. Elena clutched Todd, Becca live tweeting with trembling fingers. I stood silent, the Avenger in repose. Then the twist, the gut punch I hadn't seen coming, even with foreknowledge. As Jamie finished, his phone buzzed. A text from Victor. Audit subpoena served. But Liv, your cancer records?
Leaked.
Anonymous tip to the agency. They're firing you for ethics breach, that old Mark affair. My blood iced. Cancer records? From 2021? Impossible unless. Jamie's eyes met mine, a flicker of triumph beneath the contrition. He'd known. Somehow, in this timeline he'd anticipated, struck first. Paranoia?
No prooperación.
While I'd schemed, he'd mined my digital footprint, twisted my future ghosts into present knives. Rage blinded me. I lunged, but Dad held me back. Olivia. Chaos erupted. Accusations flying. Alliances shattering. Elena screamed at Jamie. Becca deleted posts in a frenzy. Mom collapsed, Dad calling 911. As paramedics loaded her onto a stretcher, stress. Again, I realized the revenge's cost. I'd won the house, exposed the secret. But at what price? Jamie slunk away, whispering, You pushed too far. Too far? He'd started the war. Weeks blurred. Mom stabilized. The house retitled in my name after Jamie's confession to authorities. Manslaughter charges pending, his empire crumbling under SEC probes. Elena divorced Todd amid the scandal. Becca started a true crime pod on family secrets. I kept the job, barely, spinning the leak as a hoax. But the twist lingered. In my dying delirium, had I whispered too much to Jamie during a hospital visit? A subconscious leak, seeding his preemptive strike? Or was fate's glitch, ensuring no victory pure? Now, alone on the deck as autumn leaves skittered across the lake, I uncorked Grandma's favorite Merlot. The bills? Sent. $287,000 itemized. Public via a viral thread that netted me a book deal. Controversial? The internet exploded. Heroic whistleblower versus vindictive harpy. I didn't care. Revenge tasted bittersweet. The house mine but hollow without her.
Footstep crunched. Becca, tentative.
You okay, Liv? I poured her a glass. Healing. We clinked, stars emerging. Not happy ever after, but alive.
Reborn.
And that? Worth every scar.